Welcome to Author Showcase. We interview people who are making a difference through the written and spoken word in Oshkosh and surrounding areas. I'm Dixie Jarko, and with me is Tom Cannon, inaugural Oshkosh Poet Laureate of Oshkosh, while Bill Gillard works the board for us.
Okay, so you can find us on the local access TV channel 2 and on our YouTube channel, Author Showcase of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And so if you ask us to do one of those two things, let people know, spread the word, so we can get the word out about authors in our area. And please like and comment the videos on Author Showcase on YouTube. So yeah, because our writers would love to hear some feedback.
Today we're talking to Michael J Cooney, author of Wisconsin Man Art. How are you today?
I'm excellent, thank you.
Great. Tell us about yourself and your books, and where should we start?
Where should we start? I think the greatest pleasure of my life is dropping into other people's lives and finding out who they are, what they're doing, and telling their story. I've been a photojournalist and an author, producer, any number of things all my life. Mm-hmm. So this book is just a natural extension of that passion of meeting people and asking, why are you doing that?
So tell us about this book. So people have an idea of what it is.
Well, Wisconsin Man Art, I love to say, is what happens when men are left unsupervised at middle age with either a cement mixer or a welding machine, and a lot of time and a lot of scrap material.
Oh, yeah.
And often once they get started, they don't stop.
So this is men who have built unique sculptures, or I guess any
The
sculpture.
art world calls them naive art, vernacular art.
Oh, okay.
Generally, trained artists look down their nose at them. Oh yeah, because they didn't go to fine schools to learn art.
They don't have all that debt.
They just went out to the shop one day and didn't stop. And yeah, so it was very difficult to come up with a term that I didn't feel was, looking down at them in some way or another. So Wisconsin Man Art kind of just described it. It's just, this is a guy who, I'm going to do this by God. And
although there are some women in it too.
there are two wives involved.
Yeah.
And they're very, very much artists in their own right. And so I couldn't, by all means had to include them. But yeah.
Now, how did you find these things?
Well, the longer story is it started with the barns in Winnebago County. I did a
So
self-assignment.
that's your first book, right?
No, I never made a book because Jerry Arps wrote a wonderful book on barns of Wisconsin, and there's no need for another book of this nature.
Oh, come on.
So, and it was my personal passion, having grown up on a farm in New London, that I did barns in Winnebago County. But part of that was I put a fence around Winnebago County because it was in days of film, and I was already spending thousands of dollars on film and processing. I just couldn't spill over. But that way I could get really good at doing them. And one day at Rotary, John Nichols, who was the library director at that time, was having lunch with me, and he said he was starting a digital collection at the library, and he would love to have my barn pictures. So great, because I had no idea what I was going to do with them other than make prints of them occasionally and show them around town. So that was fun. And it's still there. You can find barns in Winnebago County. And I said, well, after 20 years of doing that, what else can I do? So I asked the librarians. Well, they said, we got these Welsh chapels that we really like. Well, that took an afternoon. And, okay, what else? And then I said, well, there's more of these. And one thing led to another. So soon I said, forget this Winnebago County thing. Then I did the Winnefox service area of the library. Well, forget that. There's another one over here. So for 12 years, I chased down pioneer churches of Wisconsin, which is this book,
Nice.
which generally speaking are tiny churches preserved by a family, often a very feisty woman in her 70s who says something to the effect, so my great-grandfather built this thing, everybody's been married and buried in there, and as long as I'm alive, there's going to be a roof on the place.
There you go.
And don't get in my way.
Excellent.
Yeah, and they're wonderful. And so I found any number of them, many of them below historic status. Sometimes I just drove down the road and there would be one.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of fun. And then I started finding shrines and grottos and chapels, and you have to put a limit on things, or else you have a 500-page book, and nobody's going to buy that. So then I decided I'd do a cute little book on shrines, chapels, and grottos, and that grew to 260 pages.
Wow.
Because there's a lot of shrines, chapels, and grottos around.
Who would have known?
And that was a great fun. So at this point, I'm describing this as a statewide scavenger hunt.
Well, and I noticed in this book, the new one, you put the GPS coordinates in there.
Absolutely.
Did you do that with these also?
I did.
That's awesome.
On Facebook, nothing annoys me more to see a really neat picture, and then you message the guy and say, oh, I don't remember where that was. What do you mean you didn't remember where that was? You took the picture. They don't want to tell you. So if it's in the book, this is where it is.
That's awesome.
And my hope is that people will go and get in the car and go visit and have the experience. This is the ultimate road trip. Well, these two were fun.
Yeah.
And then I started running across these art installations, and I started developing a network of people. There's a retired folklorist in Chippewa Falls that travels a lot with her husband, and she scouts out things and sort of helped me perspective on that. There was this insurance adjuster in northern Wisconsin who traveled all over northern Wisconsin. I don't know if she ever did any insurance adjusting, but she did a lot of photography, and she would find places, and she would remember where they were.
Yeah.
So that gave me the basis for this.
Wow.
And then both of these I did. There's a Facebook page called Forgotten Wisconsin.
Oh.
And so I'm a somewhat frequent poster on there. So I did crowdsourcing on there, and I would say, this is what I'm looking for. And I would also, and you know, can you help me? Well, the Shrine ones got me over 430 responses.
Wow. That's
now,
amazing.
Some of them were really helpful, and some were the classic, there's one of them down by me. Not too helpful. And when you go back for the second question, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
So on all of these, I do a Google search, I Google map search, and and Street View if I can, make sure there is something there before I drive 3 hours across the street to find it. Yep, that's where it used to be. Yeah. And so I started doing these, and these are just really fun.
Oh yeah. And
I got these sometimes with referrals, and yet sometimes I'd find artists living 10 miles apart and didn't know of each other. And they were thrilled now at getting the book that, oh wow, there's one right down the road from me. I should stop by and see that guy, yeah.
And so the result of that was this big book of folk art.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty accurate name for it.
Yeah.
And with pictures of the different unique statuary and other art installations that are throughout Wisconsin. Oftentimes people can drive through and see them.
Well, they're generally often on front yards.
So which one is your favorite site?
Oh gosh, I don't have
Can
a
you
favorite.
pick one? Because these things are beautiful. If you haven't seen the book,
I know, and they've
gorgeous.
become my friends, so I can't pick one for that. I immediately, I think Jurassic Park over in Marshfield.
Marshfield, yeah.
Jurassic Park is created by a retired attorney and his wife, and he will tell you this. He's 90 now. He tells stories that he didn't make any of these. He actually found them out in the marsh, and he just cleaned them off, and they came back. They go back to the Iron Age.
So they're like dinosaurs?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
And his place is just a marvelous to visit. About 20,000 people visit a year. No, and there's no signs. You have to want to find this place.
Yeah.
But Buffalo's come to see it. Yeah.
Wow.
That's good to know that he's getting his due respect. I grew up around Marshfield, and you kind of knew about it. I think we made a couple trips, like when I was in my teens and stuff. But I don't think, and I don't think that. I think this book is great because I don't think that it gets the notoriety that it does.
Yeah.
And I think somebody driving, take a little detour, go through Marshfield, and Marshfield has some of his statues moved onto Veterans Parkway. So
Well, they're all over downtown Marshfield.
yeah.
Matter of fact, to the point I was over there researching, I'm very careful. I'm starting to stop and going here, going there, and a young police officer was observing my behavior. And he thought I was behaving in a highly suspicious manner. So I'm in the Chamber of Commerce parking lot with a police car with full lights
Oh my
and
gosh.
keep your hands on the wheel, sir. Really? And then I tried to convince him that he had world famous sculptures in town, and then I really got suspicious.
Oh, he did.
So how was it like to interview these different artists?
Oh, they're thrilled that somebody actually cares.
I'm sure.
Except for the one you got there, that's Herman's Heating over in Denmark. Herman will be right there if your furnace is broken, but he doesn't return phone calls from authors.
So Iron Viking mascot.
Yeah.
So you just drive up and they kind of walk out?
Oh,
or?
no, I try to advance them as much as I can.
Yeah.
In a couple cases, I end up literally writing them letters because I couldn't find a phone number or any other thing. And there's one way in the down in Cincinnati, in the extreme corner of Wisconsin. I'm not going to drive 3 hours for the guy to have to be home.
Yeah, exactly.
And I could not chase. Nobody seemed to know who he was or where, or I would network up to a point. Now, my general networking techniques is either to call the town clerk or the local undertaker.
Ooh.
Both of whom pride themselves in knowing everything going on in their towns.
And they'll spill, yeah.
So they will often help me, and they'll call you back. But I had to end up sending him a letter, and there's a couple others there was no way, they did not have enough of a digital footprint I could get to an email or anything, so I wrote them. They wrote back.
Do you think there's a common message that they're trying to get out, or is there a common trait that these men have, or is it just kind of more universal? Men like to tinker around.
A couple things. Fred Smith, who created the concrete park up in Philip, world famous, his quote is, "It's got to be in you to do it." And he did it for 16 years. And he had a hard life. He was a logger. He just scraped by for his family. He ran a bar, which is the source of the beer bottles that he used in the first masonry structure, was a big barbecue thing in his backyard. Yeah, and one thing just led to another to another. And it's like this force was in them that had to be released. A lot of them had just hard work jobs, farmers or laborers or something, and one day they said, I just got to do this.
They needed an outlet.
Yeah, and it'd been inside them for years, and then off they went. And their craftsmanship, something is just remarkable, and they're self-taught in most cases.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination of skill with welding and putting metal together and cutting with a welder, and artistic ability, really.
Yes. Now, artistic ability is one of those things that's open to the interpretation. Some are extremely fine artists, and some is like, you've got to be kidding me. But I try not to judge. It's, art is what art is.
It's interesting, to find out what to look at a piece of metal and what's calling to be
what's
made.
Saying to me.
Yeah, well, most of them have this large pile of scrap somewhere that they just and there's one guy down near the Holy Hill area has 6 acres of sculpture. Now he makes somewhat of a living. He told me basically when he started this, he was set for life from previous things. So, but he's got 6 acres just full of just really large things. I mean, he's got a big end loader to move things around, and it's kind of amazing what he has.
Wow.
Speaking of that, people that are in this area, Oshkosh area, one of the things in the book that they will recognize is Schettl Sales.
Yes.
I mean, that's a large collection. How was that?
That's where many of these art collections don't survive the death of the creator.
Sure.
They get dispersed. And I was kidding Mel that he was sort of the undertaker. He collects them. And that's where they go.
Wow.
And I recognize a couple pieces he has from the artists I've met. But they vanish. Now the Kohler Foundation collects a good deal of this, but there's far more than anyone could possibly collect and preserve.
Wow.
And
so in a way, Schettl Sales is kind of a museum for these folk artists that are in Wisconsin.
Absolutely. And the one out here on the 41 and 76 is deceptive from the road. There's 6 acres back there. It's amazing.
Well, and you look at it as you drive past, you're like, what the heck? And I always want to stop in. I've been in there a couple times, but
stop in.
Yeah, I have.
And do both. Actually, do both, and then the one out west of town as well. But yeah.
And the one seems like the one on 41 has more oddities like vehicles and things like that.
They're everything. They're
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
I excluded fiberglass
Oh, yeah.
and wood carvings.
For the next book?
No.
No.
No, well, fiberglass is more commercial. And if you get into wood carving, there's countless men carving ducks in their basement or whatever. And then there's the whole chainsaw art thing. That didn't interest me particularly, no.
And were you interested in the size? Like it had to be
No.
big scale?
Well, yeah, I didn't do little things. No,
Yeah.
These guys don't make little things. They're huge. One of the craziest ones is this pistol mailbox. Joe Reynolds over in Colby, who is a school janitor and beloved in the community for his sculpture, created this big 6-gun, big, to hang your mailbox on. Well, he can't keep up with orders. He's kind of tired of making them.
Wow.
But they're incredibly popular, and they're kind of scary.
Yeah.
Actually, they are, yes.
And he's made about 40 of them, he thinks.
Wow.
And they too have a life of their own, because I started trying to track them down, and they get bought, sold, stolen, inherited, moved.
Wow.
I think that'd be, and it's sturdy. Otherwise, it'd be a nice thing for somebody to steal away. If
Well, you could potentially if you had the a lift on
front
your
end
truck.
loader.
Yeah. But it'd be pretty recognizable, if you...
Yeah,
So how many art installations do you have recorded in the book?
42.
42, and how
42.
many different counties? Was it
I think about 40.
49? Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it was 49.
Yeah,
I read
something like that.
somewhere.
Did you have to get permission from people, and were people fine with you using images? And
Yeah, basically, well, they all liked the recognition that somebody
that's
actually
good.
cared about their work and sat there and talked to them, and I really tried to tell the story in their voice, because I saw so many art books where artists went on and on, almost with incomprehensible copy about the artwork, and said, just let's talk to the guy, and why did he do it, and how did he get into this, and what happened, and what's it done for your life.
Yeah, I'm sure that the men are just as interesting as the art that they produce.
And one of the real gifts of this is that this one had full AI assistance with it, in that I use for transcription, for layout, for just editing, for any number of things. And the story I love to tell is, in these days, it was painful hand transcription, get it all right, digging.
yeah.
There was an artist who did some really fine work around Green Bay, created the big mammoth at the Neville Public Museum.
Okay.
He's out in Salt Lake City. I tracked him down, took a little bit, got him on the phone, and I went from 1 hour of interviewing him on my phone and recording it to having it finished and laid out in the book.
Wow.
Now, I had my notes and I had the photos already ready, but it was like,
Kind of filled it in.
record it on the phone, drop it in the computer, into transcription software, into chat software, into my layout software.
I've used AI to do like biographies. Like,
Yeah.
I'll write a whole novel, and then I'll be like, oh, I really don't want to, I can't write small anymore. So we'll have it do the biography, and it does a great place for you to start. It's not finished, but, it's
Well,
like,
what I've learned,
first
particularly
edit.
here, is that I have to tell verified sources only, stay to my material, and keep it in my voice. Now, we've agreed what my voice is.
okay.
And I write for the Oshkosh Herald, and I write for On Mission
all right.
for the Catholic Diocese. So when we do On Mission, my voice there is very Catholic and spiritual.
Very good.
And the same story for the Herald is much more civic involved and historic and community. Yeah. So, and for these, it would have its own tone also. So that was very helpful, because occasionally it invented quotes for me that were really good quotes. But that is not how that guy would have spoken.
Oh,
So I went back and said, where did you get that? Well, basically, based on everything you've told me about, this is what he would have said had you asked him.
Oof.
No, stop that.
It's scary.
so IA was a starting point for you, then to go back and
Yeah.
and
You have to watch
Well,
it.
actually, and it also took care of a whole lot of the burden of spelling, grammar, and inconsistency, and all those kinds of things. I'm a creative guy.
Yeah.
I believe in the creative use of commas, semicolons, and stuff like that.
True.
Other people want to be more consistent. Old English teachers.
So yeah, you wanted to get the story out. You were more interested in taking pictures of the art, correct?
Yeah.
Could you give anybody talk us through maybe like how did you make the book? You know, as far as choosing
Like physically make
the paper, glossy, the layout and things like that.
Well, one of the wonderful things I should say is that through networking, I found this printer in Indiana that turns out to be huge, but you wouldn't know it dealing with them. Now, I've had these printed locally, and they're pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This one came in at half the cost.
Wow.
With a glossy picture, and it has Stephanie attached to it. And Stephanie's Stephanie helps people like me look good.
Oh, okay.
And they don't care how many you order or whatever. I think they go 24/7, and they just crank these things out.
Wow.
And they're a little town in 5,000 in northeastern Indiana that you've never heard of. And looking at them on Google, they're like the biggest thing in town. And so that's been very helpful in doing that. Well, I teach photography, so I'm very particular about my pictures.
Yeah.
And when possible, I would have done maybe 2 to 3 visits to a site. Now, the ones that are further away, it's a one and done.
Yeah.
But if it's closer, I'll go back, particularly if the light is different, things are different. There's one artist I told them that, and actually, I've gotten to know well enough. I want to change the background. You got weeds back there. Get those out of it. And next time I came back, he had a whole flower garden for me. Thank you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You needed the photographer's eye, maybe.
Well, you need a little encouragement, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, where could people find your books?
The books at Oshkosh Public Library has copies of my books, has all my materials. I like to say they have my papers when I feel like I'm playing author.
Your library when you
Because we also
die.
have the digital copies of the
Barnes.
first Barnes.
Yeah, they have that, and they have my Pilgrim, my Shrine book, and my church book as well.
On digital?
No.
But
hard copy.
Physical
Hard copy.
copy.
Yeah.
Which is the
And
best
you
way
can
to
purchase the
view
book
it.
at Carmel Crisp here in Oshkosh.
Oh, Carmel Chris. They're very supportive of
Yes.
writers and authors. What's next for you?
Well, interestingly, I've been speaking or promoting my books to libraries, and often they will have me come and talk about my books.
Oh, nice.
But lately they don't want me to talk about my books. But my other thing, prior to this, I wrote 5 family history books.
Oh,
So there's no
genealogy is big.
Well, mine, I like to call it trauma-informed history. So we go for all of the good stuff, because that's where the value is to the family. How did we get this way? What's our heritage? And
Well, that sounds dark.
no. It's liberating. One of my cousins discovered, when he discovered our great-grandfather was a high-functioning alcoholic, very successful man, and he discovered he wasn't the only one in the family who had the problem. What a liberation.
Yeah.
In other cases, there's I tracked 3 generations of depression and mental illness that was liberating also. Again, it's part of, we're not here in a silo by ourselves. So that's what the younger generation's interested in.
So, do you teach them how to research?
Yes, well, the program is how to capture your family history and write it so actually your kids will read it. And so I'm doing a big workshop up at Camera Corner in Green Bay in January on that. I've done that at a number of libraries, and that's the one libraries want. When I did it here at the Oshkosh Public Library, we had a full house of intense women in their 70s with notebooks, computer, notebooks, ready to take notes.
Yeah.
And when I gave them a homework assignment, they all wrote it down, which was even more delightful. And what I actually end up urging people to do, because so much of the effort is trying to track down long-lost relatives,
Sure.
is, as my daughter told me, you were 42 when I was born. You had 42 years I don't know about.
True.
And then she always complains about having older parents, but there's little I can do about that. But I think that was a really valid point. So what I've been urging at the end of all of this is to urge people to go home and do their own timeline. And if you do nothing more for your kids, they have one page of a timeline is when you did what and where, and another page of your photos. Because the other question that particularly my 2 daughters want, who do I look like in the family? Yeah, do I resemble anybody?
Yeah.
So when they see my mother's pictures, they pick out, oh yeah, I've got her features, you don't. And that's what they are interested in, rather than long lost cousins and other things.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good tip too, because I was thinking about how old pictures, what do people do with them? And if you don't have the story to go along with it, they're more than likely you're going to get tossed a little bit.
You don't even know who the people are. Yeah.
For me, a picture and a story, and if I have an experience in capturing it, that's a perfect package. So I started at the library. I figured I needed a handout, so I started. My goal was a 5-page handout. I'm now at 18 pages, which I give them to duplicate and pass out. And I realized that I probably could take it to 30 with more examples, because a lot of it is just convincing people to do this and giving them questions to ask, some approaches, as well as the AI tools. And then I will bundle that together in a little booklet that I can offer.
Oh,
but I think people should absolutely tell their story. During COVID, we ended up Zooming with my parents and stuff, and they just Googled questions that you should ask your parents and things like that. Have them tell the story of how they met and things like that. And that's also interesting that you're saying to include the story to make it interesting, because I struggle with that as well. What do people want to know? And I've written poems based on the Zoom discussions that we've had, making it into a further piece of art. It's like, oh, do I want to, how mad are my aunts and uncles going to be included in my poem that I talk about my grandpa milking cows with, bottles of liquor in the low rafters,
Yeah, that is an issue you have to deal with.
Yeah.
I know in my family, my dad was in World War II, and now he's gone, but he would not talk about it. So we know where he was stationed, and that's about it, but he would never, he said it was too horrible. He didn't want to go back there, even in his mind.
Understood.
Yeah, but it's hard, because I'm like, so what happened?
Yeah. And understanding that is sort of a universal quest. So that's kind of where the world is leading me at this point, to that, as well as, I will update. This one I think I've exhausted. I keep finding more churches.
Uh-oh.
So I got 5 more. So when I sell all of these, I'll do another version with the additional churches added to it. And then I think I'm done with that.
Would you like to tell people how they could contact you if they wanted to have you come talk about the folk art or about your ancestry?
Actually, the easiest way to find me is on Facebook. Michael J Cooney on Facebook. I respond to messages. I'm not hidden. I'm easy to get a hold of it. I don't do a website because I never maintained it, and I'm so used to that. Facebook is my medium.
And what's next for you? What are you looking at for your next project?
Well, I'm hoping to actually transition from writing to presenting and promoting the work.
Okay.
And we'll be doing that, the family history book. And I find also, if I get in front of people and show them this, the library, my business model, you should know, is to lose money slowly and have fun doing it.
As every writer's is.
So, I got my expectations right in line with reality.
Yeah. Kind of adapt that to the old joke about farmers. A farmer wins the lottery and asks, what are you going to do? He goes, well, I'll probably just keep farming until the money runs out. So you just keep writing, making books until the money runs out.
So is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about? Like the genealogy or?
Well, I'm really struck often. I talk about George O'Malley. George O'Malley started doing this when he was 14 out in New York State. He's a total character, and he's up way on the country outside of Chippewa Falls. You have to really want to find George. So I was at his place, and he's got a half mile of art. Well, George, often it could very well be an old corn planter with some stuff welded on it. Mm-hmm. And he just didn't stop. And I think he's well into his 80s at this point. And I found him, I got there at 8 o'clock in the morning because I overnighted in that area. And he's out riding his bicycle on the street, obviously looking for company.
Oh, dear.
So he talked at me for an hour and a half. And his artwork is full of riddles. And if I hadn't grown up in the farm, I wouldn't have a clue about some of the answers to all of them. And radio disc jockeys he's liked, I'm not sure in what century, any number of things. But then we came to two things that really touched me and him. One is he had a Make-A-Wish boy spend a day with him.
Oh, that's neat.
And the Make-A-Wish boy called him Mr. Old Trucks. So he's got a sculpture to Mr. Old Trucks. And actually, this is one of the only ones he actually cuts the grass around.
Oh.
And we stopped and talked about Mr. Old Trucks and how the boy passed not so long after visiting him. The other place we stopped, he has a welded with words kind of thing. I used to be somebody. And we stopped and we looked at that and he shakes his head. I used to be somebody. And that's kind of the lament of a lot of retired men, that I used to be somebody. And
your worth is like tied to your job almost.
Yeah, in your identity. So what's exciting about these people is they're still somebody. They're still doing, they're still creating, and they're expressing what's been with them for much of their life. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So you said like 20,000 people would go and see Jurassic Park.
Yeah, 25. I don't know who's counting, but
right.
25,000, yeah.
And so how would you say popular some of them are? Are they all? I mean,
that's unusual. There are some that have been preserved by the Kohler Foundation, like Concrete Park up in Phillips, and there's several others that are. And often what Kohler will do is they'll come in, restore it, stabilize it, and give it to the local township, or they don't want to be an operator. They just want it preserved. And so those are around, and those are open 24 hours a day. I mean, it's kind of amazing. I'm the only one at some of these locations. Me and my dog, I was at these locations, and just like, oh, this is kind of neat. And so I spend time getting the feel of what is this all about here.
And I think it's also kind of a way to preserve some discarded things, discarded farm equipment that people don't use anymore.
Yeah. Well, it may be temporary use of it. I don't know how much it's going to survive, in the next century, but yeah.
Well, thank you for talking to us today. We're here at Authors Showcase with Michael J Cooney, author of Wisconsin Man Art, which you can get at the Carmel Crisp. Thank you very much
thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And thank the audience for joining us as well. Thank you for tuning in to Author Showcase of Oshkosh with your hosts, Dixie Joe Jarko, Bill Gillard, and Thomas Cannon. We'd love to hear from you, whether you're interested in being a guest on the show, have a question, or want to share your thoughts. Please reach out to us on social media or via email at OshkoshAuthorShowcase@gmail.com.